What's up, Heat Nation? Sam Shapiro here with your Heat Latest on FanArc. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube already, please subscribe at Heat Latest. We're going to be diving into a lot of what-if hypotheticals today as LeBron James recently deciding to opt into that player option on his last deal with the Lakers, now roughly $52 million heading into the 2025-26 NBA season with LA. But it's very interesting because a lot of the comments that came out between Pat Riley and Udonis Haslem as of recently kind of suggested that, if he ever wanted to make that return to South Beach, the option would be there. We're going to dive more into exactly what they said in the months before LeBron decided to make that option, because going into this next season in 2026-27, he's now going to be an unrestricted free agent the first time since 2018, and a lot of people speculating he's probably going to go back to Cleveland if he decides not to stay in LA with Bronny, but a lot of time will tell. I thought it was very interesting. Udonis Haslem saying on First Take pretty recently, quote, "I do know a place where he is welcomed and will always be welcomed," just to put that out there. And, LeBron is a win now type of player. You could almost plug and play him with any roster that you're kind of going to ship him to. And, if you plug him into this South Beach squad with the depth it has right now, definitely could be a very hard contender to get by in the Eastern Conference. Not necessarily looking like that could be the case right now, but with all the buzz surrounding Luka Doncic and him now being the centerpiece of the franchise, on top of the Lakers maybe also exploring options with players like Damian Lillard, I necessarily don't think it's completely out of the cards that Miami is a second option for LeBron James. Still looking like he's going to be playing for the Lakers this season, not going to be traded anytime soon. But the last time he was playing with Miami was roughly 15 years ago. And, brought 2 rings to the 305, 4 finals appearances with, the franchise's cornerstone in Dwayne Wade, and it would definitely be a nice reunion, so to speak. Pat Riley also in 2021 saying he would leave a shiny new key under the mat if he ever wanted to return. So I definitely think ruling LeBron out of ever returning back to South Beach would be almost a little ignorant. It'd be kind of interesting to see if he would come back to Miami and what he would be able to do at this point in his career with some of the young guys that have now transitioned back onto this team. But I also mentioned that the Lakers, he might not necessarily be set in stone with LA after this contract is through, because they're one of the 6 teams that are now going to be looking at Damian Lillard for a possible pick up maybe this season or next season, as well as they kind of look forward into the future. The Lakers, like I just mentioned, one of 6 teams that could pursue him as well, just adding to the star power of Luka Doncic. That backcourt would be absolutely ridiculous, assuming Lillard comes back and is in full health. If he decides to make his way on that team a little bit earlier, could be part of the superstar veteran leadership that could help kind of lead this team forward, and necessarily wouldn't be one of the worst options in the world. They're amongst Miami and 4 other teams that are now pursuing interest or have listed some sort of receipts for wanting the superstar point guard, still recovering from that Achilles injury. So I think it's very interesting. I'm hopeful that Miami does pick him up, just because, like I've said before, it would be a pretty opportunist time to invest in a veteran player like him and maybe not have to fork over as much money as we would have if he was still in Portland when he initially expressed the most interest in joining Jimmy Butler and Miami when Jimmy was still there. But the other teams that I think make a compelling case that have also sparked interest are the Golden State Warriors. Could be interesting to see how that backcourt aligns with Curry and Draymond Green, building on that friendship with them as well. But I don't necessarily think the Warriors need that much star power in their backcourt still. Could be interesting to see if he goes there, what that deep range game would look like. Maybe a Splash Brothers type of reunion, minus Klay Thompson being in the mix. But another team that kind of poses a really good argument for Damian Lillard to make his way over there is the Houston Rockets. Had a great offseason this past year. They got a lot of young guys. And now adding a guy like Kevin Durant, pairing a guy up with Lillard, with Durant, you've got veteran star power on a arguably title contender team, adding to the strength in that backcourt now that this team's lost a guy like Jalen Green. He might not be able to take the floor right away, but seeing how he would especially go into the 26-27 season with them could definitely be very exciting, to say the least. Paul George also publicly endorsed this fit, citing that the revamped roster and patience with Lillard's recovery would also work. Also boosting young guys like Sengun in the locker room while he's recovering and rehabbing in H-Town. It would be exciting to see, a prime Portland type of Lillard pair up with Kevin Durant to see how that mix would kind of work. But, Kevin Durant has also played with a lot of superstar point guards in the past, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving. So it's not necessarily a Cinderella glass shoe fit, I would say, right now, but it could be interesting to see how he would fit in the mix with H-Town. And then the final team that I'll say has been kind of interested in Lillard that I think could pose a little bit of a threat, at least in the Eastern Conference, would be the Orlando Magic. Rising Eastern Conference team with guys like Banchero, also coming off a pretty rough injury. Would just be very interesting to see him rehabbing in Florida, and then how he would kind of jump into this young roster that has a lot of cap flexibility, and could be playoff ready even without him, as this upcoming postseason, kind of looms forward. So a lot of unfortunate destinations in addition to Miami now in the mix that could also make some compelling cases. I know yesterday I kind of touched on Boston also being in the mix as well, because of Lillard and Tatum having that, being able to empathize in their recoveries, rehabbing from the same injuries, and Tatum also expressing interest that he would want to see Lillard team up with him now that Drew Holiday has left Boston and is now not on Boston and part of that former championship roster. So only time will tell. Still on the topic of what ifs, as of recently, Victor Oladipo now looking to hopefully make another return to the NBA, according to ESPN's Jeremy Woo. Oladipo participated in a private workout on Monday, I believe July 8th, in Las Vegas, and multiple attendees came away impressed with Oladipo, described as being in excellent shape as he pursues another comeback. Now, Woo also noted that Oladipo's workout drew a large audience with a large contingent of NBA and European teams in attendance. He was playing full court 5-on-5 in a group workout of international pros, and given the struggles he'd kind of had to work through injury, the mental toll it kind of took on him as he found his way out of the league on kind of a short notice. The guy's still 33 years old. It's very promising to see him, try to make a comeback and cement himself hopefully back in this league. I mean, if he were to reunite, would the best place necessarily be Miami? I think it could definitely be a destination that he should definitely look into, just considering he had played there before. I mean, he averaged 10-3-3 during his time in South Beach, so wasn't necessarily the prime of his career, but definitely had a couple good performances during his tenure there. And the optimist in me would not like to see him go back to Indiana, even though that was where he arguably did play his best basketball. And with the absence of Tyrese Halliburton, they're going to need more help in the backcourt. But time will tell, and it, I think, would be interesting to see how he would kind of try to work around some of the woes that didn't necessarily work his first go around in South Beach. Could definitely be a veteran guy, kind of in the similar space as Lillard, being a veteran guard, coming off an injury, looking to revamp his career, reprove himself, a little bit more so than Lillard in this case, but could definitely be very interesting to see how he would gel with that backcourt going forward. And I think he would just be a very good addition to this team coming off this injury, assuming he's physically and mentally in a much better place than he was when he exited the league. Now, looking over at some summer league play, Pelo Larson has been absolutely balling out for this Miami Heat squad. In his last 5 summer league games, he's been averaging 17 points per game on roughly 3.5 rebounds and 2.5 assists. But just some of these scoring totals have really been jumping out. He's been shooting 50. He shot 50% in 3 of these 5 games and over 82% from the free throw line in 2 of those 5 games. The last one being against the Boston Celtics, scoring 24 points in that 196 win. And then previously he's posting up 14, 16, 15, and 18. Just seeing the scoring ability from him, just from this past rookie season he kind of had. Miami picking him up in the second round of the 2024 NBA draft and kind of averaging only about 4 points per game in just 55 games that he played for South Beach last year. Stuff like this is why I believe Miami doesn't necessarily jump out to the free agency market and look to pick up guys that have already proven themselves on other rosters. They want to home grow their talent, so to speak, really utilizing every draft pick they have, whether it's the 10th pick overall or it's the last pick in the second round. We've seen time and time again this team take guys from basically out of nowhere and develop them into role-playing stars, sixth men, even starters in certain cases. But we've seen guys like Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, and even Duncan Robinson, who just walked, kind of come from similar scenarios like this where they've developed over time. And I'm not saying the summer league play means Payla Larson's going to come out this regular season and just absolutely ball out, be a complete starter. But it's stuff like this that makes me believe why Miami doesn't turn to free agency to try to build their roster, all the time. Maybe they'll pick up one or two guys, like as of recently, picking up Norman Powell. But seeing play like this from Payla Larson is so promising that the Heat culture they're trying to breed, every guy they bring in, every guy that they're trying to develop over time, they see the potential in that and they work with them to try to bring out the best in that player. And although Larson didn't necessarily have the best season, so to speak, for his rookie campaign, stuff like this kind of play in the summer league is why I believe they're not necessarily free agent. They're not headhunters in the free agency season every single year, because they believe in the guys they're going to draft, and they believe that over time they can develop, double-figure scorers that can even come off the bench or potentially fill in some starting roles. So seeing Larson play like this is only going to add depth to this South Beach squad, and it's very promising to see him go out and drop 24 points on the Celtics, almost kind of rejuvenating that rivalry even in the summer league, despite it not being the regular season. So very exciting to see him compete. It's going to be very exciting to see how Miami finishes out the regular season and what other moves they may or may not make in the free agency season. Interesting to see how they move with the whole Jonathan Kuminga situation, but Golden State seems pretty adamant on that right now. Only time will tell how it's going to play going forward, but we'll have all the latest on that and more on your Heat latest going forward. We're going to have daily content now here on YouTube, so be sure to check it out every single day. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Sam Shapiro. Have a great day.